Hey everyone, it's Boardgame Brody here with Meeple Mountain. I have a copy of Bosk by Floodgate Games, so let's get it to the table. Bosk is a 2 to 4 player abstract strategy game where you try to place your colored leaves to be the majority on each section of the board, but your leaves can only drop so much distance from the trees that you place on the board. In this beautiful game, you will be strategically placing trees in the spring and using your leaf tiles to lay down leaves during autumn, and ultimately scoring points in summer and winter. Let's set up the game. The board is placed out depending on the player count, this side for 2 players, and then this side here for 3 to 4 players. Each player will choose a species of tree and take the matching colored trees, the leaf tiles, the leaf tokens, and the squirrel token. The wind board is placed to the side with the wind direction marker. This is used in autumn and will indicate the directions the leaves fall from the trees. The score tracker board is also placed to the side with each player placing a leaf token nearby to keep track of the score. Lastly, a player will randomly be selected as the first player and they are handed the hiker. The game starts with spring where players will be growing their trees. Beginning with the first player, players take turn placing one of their trees on an unoccupied intersection of 2 trails. Trees cannot be placed on corners or the outside of the board, and once a tree is placed, it can never be moved. Rounds continue until each player has placed 8 trees each. The placement of your tree is important, especially for summer. Summer is next, and visitors fill the trails and admire the trees. Points are awarded for each trail on the park board. For each trail row, add the values of each player's trees. You will then check the summer scoring section to assign points. When there is a clear winner with another player in second place, then the first place gets 2 points and the second place gets 1. If there is a clear first place winner and 2 or more second place players are tied for second, then the first place player gets 2 points and no points are awarded for any of the second place players. If there is only a clear winner and no second place at all, then the first place player will score 3 points. If there happens to be 2 or more first place winners, then each will score just 1 point. As you score points, make sure that you track them on the scoreboard. And make sure that when you're doing the scoring, you're not counting the number of trees, but you're counting the values on the trees. After scoring the rows, you will then score the columns in the same manner. When scoring has been done for the rows and the columns, then you will compare the total points for all the players. Whoever has the fewest points becomes the first player for autumn. The hiker is passed to that player. In autumn, the leaves fall covering the terrain. Leaves will form a path in the direction of the wind. The player with the hiker will choose what side of the board to place the wind board. This will indicate which direction of the wind will be blowing, and it determines the pattern of the wind's changes for the rest of the game. The wind direction marker is placed on the 1 to begin with, and players now take turns blowing leaves from their trees to cover the terrain squares. The current spot on the wind board indicates both which tree will lose its leaves and the direction the leaves will blow in. Players take turns where they will select one of their trees on the board where their leaves will fall from. During the first 4 rounds, players select trees matching the value indicated on the wind board, and the final 4 rounds, players will select any of their remaining trees. After selecting a tree, you will then need to select a leaf tile and place it face up in front of you. This tile dictates the number of leaves that you'll place down. Also note that the player who selects the smallest value will play first next round. Everyone also has a squirrel tile to be used that can be used instead of placing leaves out. You will use this to be placed within 3 squares of your chosen tree in the direction of the wind. The squirrel can cover leaf piles of any size, and the squirrel token cannot be covered by leaf tokens itself. Leaves will then be placed equal to the number of your leaf tile on terrain squares forming a path starting at the tree in the direction of the wind. The first leaf is placed at the base of the tree on either of the 2 squares. Each subsequent leaf can be placed in the same wind direction, but in any of the 3 adjacent squares to where you placed the last leaf during this turn. Continue adding your number of leaves until you have none left or you got to the edge of the board. After your leaves are added, then you will remove that selected tree from the board. You also cannot use this leaf tile again, and it will be placed to the side, forming a discard pile. Play continues clockwise, and each round in autumn, the direction of the wind will change, while trees are removed from the board. Also remember in these rounds that the player order changes by what leaf tile is played. So during later rounds of autumn, you might be covering up other players' leaves. This is important as only the leaves that are on top will count towards scoring points in winter. So if the terrain square is empty of any leaves, then no extra cost is required. But if it's covered by a leaf already, then you will need to return one of your leaf tokens to your supply for each leaf token already on that terrain square. When covering up a pile where your own leaf is on top, then you play as if the square is empty, so no extra cost. Winter suddenly will arrive with some frigid air. Let's hurry and count up the points and then go inside and play some board games. You'll be using a grid similar to summer to count up points, but you will be counting the number of squares where your leaves are on top in each region on the board. There are 8 different regions, and I won't go through all the scoring again, but just know that points awarded range from 8 if you have the most and no one else has any in that region on the board, to 5 to 4 points if you are first place in a region, but you had some good competition there, to 3 to 1 points for being second in a region with others competing with you. Whoever has the most points after winter wins the game. For me, Bosk is a great gateway game to play and enjoy, and the theme is perfect to invite your friends and families to play it with you. It really invites interest and includes great components that players really grasp the game and are very interested in it. The game is also structured so that you set yourself up from the beginning to the end with choices that cause a smidgen of a difference for each choice, but when all those smidgens add up, it can determine if you will be the winner or loser in the game. As you know, summer and winter are the scoring seasons, and as you score, you will gain a little here and a little there. And all players will move up on the scoring track, but it's the strategic placement of trees or leaves that really provide an opening or an opportunity for players to score big by either winning a trail without others taking first place from you, or winning a region from having the most leaves in that region. In fact, when you're deciding on trees to use to spread your leaves with, the choice directly affects the region your leaves will have the opportunity to fall on, and will impact if you have area majority or not at the end of the game. Now, it's not like these choices are easy to see because the game progresses and the area majorities change throughout the game. As turns continue, those last couple turns require just a little bit more time and effort to see if you can take the majority away from another player or increase yours so that another player doesn't take your majority away from you. And for that reason, the game is great. You don't have to be a hardcore gamer to enjoy the game, but it still provides those little choices that strategic players love. The game has 4 different seasons that tell you what you're doing each season and different ways that you can score points, but the game is mostly cut into 2 big parts. And the first part directly affects the second, so it doesn't feel disconnected at all, but you do have 2 big parts of the game. Now, what makes this such a great game is that it's really easy to teach and explain. It makes it a great gateway game. The art and the components make it have a beautiful presence on the table. The game works. There's no problems with the gameplay, and it's just a solid game. The game also includes that strategic experience if wanted, or the game includes a more casual experience if that's what you want instead. I love games like this that include choices that require a good strategy, but also simple and easy to teach and explain. Grow some trees and let your leaves blow in Bosk by Floodgate Games. Again, this is Boardgame Brody. I hope you enjoyed this video. Stick around and check out some other board game reviews to see what you might want to get to the table.